Now time for the 7 things you'll be talking about today. Number 7.
United States Senator Katie Britt, the Republican out of Montgomery, has criticized the Biden administration's handling of cryptocurrency regulations, particularly taking aim at the SEC chair, Gary Gensler's approach, which she claims has stifled innovation and created uncertainty for investors. They keep referencing Bitcoin. What about my Dogecoin? That's what I'm worried about. Britt argues the administration's regulatory focus has hindered the growth of the U.S. digital asset sector, which is seeing a real boom right now, actually. So we'll see where all of that goes. But she wants more transparency, a pro-growth regulatory environment, which is generally how the Republicans seem to want everything done. Let's take a step back on the regulations, still have some, be more transparent, be more open, and let's make sure we give these new spaces room to grow. That's not a quote or anything, but that's basically the gist.
Number 6.
Alabama Secretary of State Wes Allen opposes a newly proposed Alabama Voting Rights Act, which, man, he really hates voting, doesn't he? Which is, of course, how they're trying to frame it, because that's why you name it the stuff that is good and that your mom likes bill. It just doesn't really work if you lay out exactly what the bill does. But anyway, he calls it a threat to election security and transparency due to provisions like same-day voter registration and no excuse absentee voting, which he is correct. Those are terrible ideas. Democratic lawmakers, alongside groups like the SPLC, which is a scam, support the bill, which aims to restore voting rights for felons, expand voting access, and establish a commission to address voter discrimination. I'll listen to this stuff about voter discrimination if you can find me one person who's had their vote discriminated against. I'd love to hear that. Also, they did a poll of people in prison. More of them would have voted for Donald Trump than Kamala Harris, which is kind of funny.
Number 5.
Speaking of Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump plans to nominate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to lead the Department of Health and Human Services, the HHS, signaling major shifts in U.S. health policies. Maybe. By the way, the current Health and Human Services Secretary, I believe their qualifications were what? Well, anyone know? Anyone know what their qualifications were? Because I happen to know what their qualifications were. They were Joe Biden's boy. I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, you want to know? That was it. That was it. And there's no other medical qualification behind that. None. So why are we doing this? Why are we pretending like this guy's a terrible choice? He is not going to be confirmed. Okay? Let me be as clear as I make this. He is not going to be confirmed. There's very little chance this actually happens. But come on, let's stop pretending this is a terrible pick.
Number 4.
State Senator Greg Reed, a Republican out of Jasper, may be stepping down as president pro tem of the Alabama Senate. This, I think, caught a lot of people off guard. His office has not confirmed these reports, but Reed's spokesperson stated he looks forward to meeting with colleagues about upcoming legislative priorities. And with a Republican caucus meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, that could address the leadership changes. Now, this is yet another inside baseball thing for people who pay very close attention to this. But if there is a leadership change, it could change the direction of the Senate. And with the leadership, you could end up with different types of priorities. You could see a bigger focus on gambling. That could be a real thing. Maybe Medicaid expansion. These are the questions that come up if Reed vacates his role. They will vote on that, and then I'm sure we'll learn more about this story moving forward.
Number 3.
Colorado officials are fiercely, and I would add desperately, opposing President-elect Donald Trump's potential but all but guaranteed decision to move U.S. Space Command from Colorado Springs to Huntsville, Alabama. By the way, I spoke with some people yesterday. This is a done deal. It's happening. Okay, just forget about it. There's no more conjecture on this. This is over. This is happening. Senator John Hickenlooper criticized Alabama's efforts, accused him of pushing Trump to prioritize local gains over national defense. No. Okay? All the initial reports and decision-making that prioritized what was good for the country said Huntsville, Alabama. Colorado Springs was like 4th. So give it a rest here. The governor of that state, very upset as well. But I would be upset too if I was a loser. So, sorry guys. Boo-hoo.
Number 2.
United States Senator Tommy Tuberville, a Republican out of Auburn, cautioned Republicans and, quote, swamp preachers, end quote, against abandoning President-elect Donald Trump's policy agenda, telling his fellow senators, quote, we're going to try to get you out of the Senate. If you vote against Trump, he's emphasizing, I don't like this, by the way. I don't like that he's doing this. Tuberville emphasized its importance to conservative values, voter expectations, and Trump appointees. I'm with you. I am with you on a lot of this. But this idea, like, you vote how I say or we're going to take you out, I don't know. I don't think they have the stroke to do that, by the way. So I just think it's kind of an empty threat. He argued that the GOP's success depends on staying aligned with Trump's priorities, particularly on issues like immigration, the economy, and military support. I agree with that. Going along with every single one of his appointments, that is not required.
Now, time for the number 1 thing you'll be talking about today.
Here's a perfect example. Would Matt Gaetz be a better attorney general than Merrick Garland? I mean, yeah, I would think so, mostly because Merrick Garland has been so bad. Would he weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his enemies and Donald Trump's enemies? Yes, I think that's basically what they're going to. It's payback time. That's what this is. This is not the problem. This is the antidote to the problem. Okay, that's the argument they're going to make. Matt Gaetz is a response to the problem that Merrick Garland and Joe Biden created. That's what they're saying. And they're saying a guy like Matt Gaetz, who A, is pissed off about how he's been treated, and B, pissed off about how the president's been treated, they want to put him in there to clean it up. Oh, the people inside the DOJ are so upset. Good. That's great. I want people there to be upset. I want people at the Pentagon to be upset. I want people at the Department of Health and Human Services to be upset. But this confirmation is absolutely going nowhere. Senate Republicans are expressing strong doubts about the likelihood of Matt Gaetz, the former congressman from Florida, and his position as Attorney General. Concerns revolve around polarizing reputation and potential opposition within the GOP. Some Republicans believe his nomination could be doomed due to expected bipartisan resistance, which is garbage because the bipartisan resistance does not matter. It's Republicans. Republicans themselves will be the ones responsible for killing this if they do. A source familiar with the Republican senators' discussions stated that significantly more than 4, which is one hell of a quote, significantly more than 4, and the reason they say that is you need 4. Senators are opposing Gaetz' nomination. Possibly over 30 oppose the nomination all told, making this confirmation unlikely and, quote, not even close. It's not happening. I mean, you're just going to have to come to grips with this. This was a messaging pick. This was not a pick where we say, okay, this guy's going to be confirmed. I'm sorry. I know this upsets a lot of you, but that's the truth. Nobody thinks this thing is moving forward, okay? Nobody. So that's just the truth of it. You're going to have to learn to deal with it. Matt Gaetz was going to resign anyway because he didn't want this report to come out, which, by the way, probably dooms his chances of being confirmed by the full Senate if you're worried about a ethics report coming out from the House, so you resign. I mean, maybe if we had like a couple years between this stuff, but that happened like 2 days ago. So good luck on all of this. This is going absolutely nowhere. I stand by that prediction. I would have no problem with Matt Gaetz being the Attorney General, but it ain't happening. So there we go. You can leave that right there. You can also leave your thoughts right here with us. It's very simple to do. 866-494-WVNN. That's the scoutpestcontrol.com, WVNN hot take text line. You can get your questions in for 10 with him on that. You can do that right now. Coming up a little bit later today, Katie Britt will be with us around 8:30. Arthur Orr will be with us at 7:30. And we got a lot to get into. But I also need to tell you about my friends over there at 2 Men in a Truck. 2 Men, a truck, and so much more. That's what you're going to get from 2 Men in a Truck. They're going to help you move. They'll pack it up. They'll unpack it. They'll stage it. And you will be thrilled that your move is over quickly and everything is done correctly. You'll get 2 men. You'll get a truck. You'll get so much more. You also get what's known as the grandma rule. They treat everyone there like they are their own grandma. And that's exactly what you want. 2 Men in a Truck's going to take great care of you. Go talk to those guys today. 2 Men in a Truck, Huntsville.com. When you talk to those guys, make sure you tell them Dale Jackson sent you.
Get WBNN's Dale Jackson's 7 Things You Should Be Talking About Today right in your email box every morning. Go to yellowhammernews.com and sign up today.